Don't try and build the Death Star until you've gotten the revenue in the door and you have that engine going. Make this world a better place. Here, you have to say. Every day I'm doing strategy sessions with different clients all over the world with different businesses and different backgrounds. So my team asked me to put together this video, and they thought it would be interesting if I just broke down the process of how I approach these strategy sessions and help people scale their revenue and scale their business. If you guys have read either of my books, 1 Million Followers or Hook Point, you'll recognize some of the terminology that I'm about to break down, but this is a chance where we get to apply it to real world scenarios. All right, so let's dig in. I am going to start here and choose envelope 1. So it says, after working up the ranks at a large brokerage, 2 real estate agents have decided that they want to stop making money for others and start their own firm. The 2 managed to carry over enough clients from their previous job to get their firm off the ground, but now they've reached the point where they want to start scaling and hiring employees. It's become necessary to try to find new clients in an already crowded market. How might they go about distinguishing themselves and attracting new business? So there's 2 elements to this. One thing that stands out to me that I want to caution these people with, they have reached the point where they want to start scaling and hiring employees. The second part of that I want to focus on, hiring employees. Do not hire any employees until you start scaling revenue.
Show me the money.
That's the biggest mistake I've seen people make, and I've made that mistake myself. Or I want to hire all these people in foundation before I start scaling, before I start marketing, because I don't want to buckle. And then people, what happens is they hire all these people, it adds burn to their company, they're paying all these expenses, and then they get into marketing and they're realizing either A, they're not great at marketing, or it takes time to figure out the right marketing message. So what I always suggest, and even though these 2 have experience, is get the business up and running and market it yourselves and do as much of the work that you can do on your own first. Figure out how to make your first sale or your first set of sales.
Louder! Show me the money!
And then you can build a stronger infrastructure. Then you can go and hire employees. Now, if the key employee is a marketing person, then that makes sense. But if it's an accountant or an assistant, it's amazing how many people have assistants or hire assistants before they even have a business. Focus on making your first sale. And if you pass that first sale, create a sustainable model where you know you're getting X number of sales coming in. It's predictable cash flow coming in every month.
Jerry, you better yell! Show me the money!
So let's talk about different ways of acquiring clients. So there are online ways to acquire clients, and there's both cold and warm traffic sources. So what's the difference between a cold and a warm traffic source? So Facebook and Instagram ads, for example, are cold because you're pushing your message or service to them. People aren't searching for your business on these social channels. You're getting the opportunity to push that ad in front of them to get them interested. So that's cold. Now, there's pros and cons to cold traffic. The con is it's cold. They're not searching for you, so it's harder to convert.
The leads are weak.
The leads are weak. The fucking leads are weak. You're weak.
Now, the pro side of it is the auction, the cost to advertise to these cold audiences is typically lower, much lower than it is with warm audiences. And I'll get into the warm in a second. In addition, if you're able to crack cold traffic, if you're able to track cold audiences, the scale is enormous. So in my book, Hook Point, How to Stand Out in a 3-Second World, I interview a copywriter, a friend of mine who's sold over $1 billion worth of products. $1 billion. And he did that by mastering cold traffic.
They're sitting out there waiting to give you their money. Are you gonna take it?
So let's talk about what a warm audience is. So a warm audience is somebody searching for your service. So in this instance where these are real estate agents, what would be a warm audience? Google is a warm audience. So people searching for real estate agents, or Yelp maybe. I don't know if Yelp has real estate agents, I'm sure they do. That's warm, they're searching for what you have.
A guy don't walk on the lot lest he wants to buy.
Now, those advertising costs are way more expensive. It decreases dramatically. But because it's a warm audience, typically it'll convert at a higher level. So when you're a real estate agent and starting up this new firm, I would test both. So I would test cold audiences from a geolocation perspective. So obviously I would assume that these real estate agents are working in a very specific geolocation. So I would create some lead gen forms. And what a lead gen form is, on Facebook or Instagram, you can actually capture somebody's name, email, phone number. You can customize it and it appears directly into the app. But if I click the ad, you could create a lead gen form where they don't even leave and go to your website, and they just put in their name, phone number, or answer a series of questions. You can fully customize it. The reason I like the lead gen ad forms is you're not driving to an external website where there could be multiple issues. Maybe your load time is slow, or maybe your website is not really optimized for conversions. That's one of the biggest issues I see with small businesses and even bigger businesses. They don't optimize their website for conversion. When I mean conversion in this instance would be to book a call, book an appointment, capture more information. So again, to recap, with Facebook and Instagram, specific for this business where they're trying to acquire new clients, they're not trying to get them to buy a course or a book or something like that. It's about acquiring the lead, acquiring the connection so you can set up a conversation. And the lead gen form is a great way to do this. In addition, it's so inexpensive to do this. I would recommend that these people set this up and test a few $100s. You could probably even test less than that and see what your cost per lead comes in at. What is the cost to get somebody to fill out that lead form? And then correlatively, when you get these people on the phone, what is the quality of that lead? And if your cost per lead is high, but the quality of the leads are great, then you're willing to pay a higher premium for that. Because especially for real estate agents, a client could represent thousands, if not tens of thousands, in some cases hundreds of thousands of dollars.
These are the new leads, and to you, they're gold.
So some people may get up in arms in seeing that I'm paying $10 for a lead, but who cares if you're spending $10 for a lead and that lead can lead to tens of thousands of dollars. Now on the flip side of that is maybe your cost per lead is super cheap, 50 cents or 25 cents, but the quality of the lead is just not there. So once you start getting that feedback loop, you start getting that data, then you're gonna have to make tweaks to the creative and the messaging that you're putting out there. So that's the cold traffic. Let's talk about warm traffic. So where I would start is Google AdWords. So I would create a Google AdWords account and go, again, specific geolocation to your area, and then what are the search terms that people are looking for? For example, I want to sell my house, or how do I sell my house in the shortest time period possible? Now, the thing you've got to consider is the more common sense the term is, or like I want a real estate agent, or finding a real estate agent, the more you're going to pay cost per click, because there's going to be more people bidding against those terms. So your job is thinking about the fringe keywords. You still want to test those keywords to see if it works, but what are the more creative things, and getting into the psychology of somebody selling their home or buying their home, like what are some of the things that they may be thinking about that other realtors are not bidding against?
What are they thinking? What are they thinking?
Now, a great thing that you can do that's completely free is just go to Google right now and type in your type of business. And this example is like, I live in this zip code and I'm looking for a real estate, or looking for a real estate agent, and see who are the real estate agents, who are the brokerages that are advertising, and study that. How many are advertising? Are there 2 advertising, or are there 15 advertising? If there's 15 or 20, that cost is going to be pretty high in the auction. Now that doesn't mean that you shouldn't test that, because again, it comes down to the return on investment. You may be paying $20 a click. Yes, it can be as high as $20 a click. It could be higher than that. But if those clicks lead to high quality clients that again have the potential to make you tens of thousands of dollars, then you could afford that. Now, on the flip side, if you're selling a $25 t-shirt, you can't afford to spend $20 a click because you just be completely underwater. And with Google AdWords, test a few $100s. With Google AdWords, you don't have the ability to create a lead gen form in the same way that Facebook and Instagram. So you are gonna have to drive to a landing page or a website. Let me just quickly break down what's the difference between a website, what's the difference between a landing page. So a website is essentially just all the information. You type in, if you go to my website, brendanjkane.com, that's my website. It's not really set up for conversion, it's information about me. Versus if you go to a landing page, like for my new book, book.hookpoint.com, that is a landing page that's designed for conversion. So we are sending traffic directly to that page. So in this instance, when we're talking about using Google AdWords to push this brokerage, we want to have a landing page. We don't want to send it to our corporate or company website. We want to send it to a landing page that succinctly matches the ad and pushes them directly to book a call, to fill out your name, your information, or phone number, because that's where you're going to maximize the potential of the traffic. So in any type of advertising, cold or warm, there's two parts of the equation that you need to consider. The ad creative itself, but then also where are you driving it to? And is the landing page, is the website converting? Both have to match up together in order to be successful. Both have to be dialed in order to maximize the potential of paid and even organic advertising. Another one is that I would focus on is like Trulia, Zillow, other places that you can publish your property to acquire new clients. Because again, those are search-based platforms that you can pull in new clients and new ways of attracting those people. So now let's talk about what is the messaging that we put out in the world. And I want to first start with what are the biggest mistakes that people make with their ads. The first and most common mistake is you're saying the same thing in the same way as everybody else. So when we talk about real estate, how do you differentiate yourself as a real estate agent, or how do you differentiate your property in a unique way? Because if you look like everybody else, if your brand, your company looks like any other real estate agent, then you're not going to stand out. If you're marketing a specific property and it looks like every other property, then it's not going to stand out.
I'm different, yeah, I'm different.
So, first exercise that I want to give you is from the company standpoint, is what makes you unique? What makes you different than every other real estate agent? And again, this applies to any business. It doesn't just have to be real estate. But what is truly unique? How do you approach it differently? How do you approach your clients differently? And one of the things that I want you to really think about and digest in doing that is not about what you want to say as the individual brand or the company, but the other person on the other side of the screen. Is I don't care if you think it's unique and different. Is your end user, is your end customer going to think it's unique and different? And one thing that I tell people that will really set you up for success is what is the difference between what people want and what people need? Because oftentimes we'll get into the situation where we're marketing what we know people to need. But sometimes people don't want to buy what they need, they just want to buy what they want. So that's a clear distinction that you've got to understand about your customer base. So I'll give you an example, is with my first book, 1 Million Followers, How I Built a Massive Social Audience in 30 Days. The book itself is really about the mindset to be successful. It's about testing, the testing iterations and how you test your way to success. But I knew that's not what people wanted. What people want is they want followers. So what I do is I use the hook, I generate 1 million followers in 30 days, because I know that's what people want, to bring them into the deeper conversation about what they need. Now that doesn't mean I'm using clickbait or misleading people, because I do talk about follower growth in the book, but I teach them the fundamentals of what they really need. So in this instance, with a real estate agent, I would really have them focus on 2 columns. What is it that your clients really need versus what do your clients really want? And then focus on the want category to hook them in. And then once you have them hooked in, then you can go to what they actually need. And as a real estate agent, there's 2 different angles that you can take for client acquisition and making you stand out. Is you yourself, how you compete against a real estate agent, and also the properties that you represent. And you can play both off of each other or test them against each other to see what is the real unique angle to bring people in. Now, another thing that people fail to do is competitive analysis. So if I'm a real estate agent, what I want to do is I'm going to look up every single real estate agent in the area. I'm going to look up, are they advertising on Google? Are they advertising on Facebook? Are they advertising on Instagram? Are they advertising on Yelp? And if they are, how is their message structured? How are they representing themselves? Are they doing a good job differentiating themselves? And there's so much that you can learn by studying your competition. So that is a big thing that I would highly focus on, and this is for any business, not just for real estate, to really dive in and make sure that you're doing that due diligence and dissecting what you think they're doing that's working, what you think that you could do a better job at than them. Same thing with their properties, is like, how are they presenting their properties? How could you differentiate it? What are different inroads to get people interested in a specific property? Now, another big mistake that people make is you have to win that first 3 to 5 seconds. And what most people will try and do is almost just vomit up everything about themselves, their brand, their product or service in those 3 to 5 seconds. And what happens? You just get so overwhelmed. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna keep scrolling. I'm gonna move on. Versus just focus on winning that first 3 seconds. What is that thing that you can say to that person to just get them to stop? To generate that pattern interruption. Just imagine somebody opened up Instagram. They just watched LeBron James dunk. They just watched the Netflix trailer. They just watched Kevin Hart telling a joke. And then your ad comes up. What is that ad going to say in order to get you to stand out? Now, I'm going to give you an example of probably one of the most successful real estate agents of today that does an amazing job of that. And it's Ryan Serhant. Now, you may know him from $1 Million Listing, but he's also done a remarkable job with social media. And he's done this, he's created this pattern interruption. And some of his most successful videos is he will go and tour a $100 million home. And most of the time, he's not even selling. I don't think when he toured the $100 million home, he wasn't even representing it. But he went and toured it because he knew it was a hook point to get people to stop, to pay attention to his brand. And those videos generate millions of views. But his brilliance is he knows that that's going to get people to stop and engage with his brand. But he doesn't need, obviously, those millions of people can't afford to work with him because he represents the ultra luxury, but he only needs a fraction of a percent that has the money to work with him. He's actually sold homes to very wealthy people, sold 10, 20, $30 million homes just through social media by a property generating millions of views through this pattern interruption of focusing on these ultra luxury properties and the unique features of them. And then through those millions of views, maybe there's 10 out of a million that can afford to work with him. But that works for him, and that has the ultra net worth people begging to work with him, always looking for his next property, because he's completely differentiated himself in this very crowded and oversaturated market. So all the tactics I've broken down do work. Like, I actually had a real estate agent that's very successful reach out to me recently and basically said, hey, I picked up your book. I integrated the tactics in it. I spent $800 on Facebook ads and generated over $100,000 in revenue. One of the biggest things in everything that I just expressed is really having the mindset of constantly testing and learning. Because with all this stuff, it works. We've seen it. Our clients, our brands have generated millions. Some of our clients have generated hundreds of millions of dollars a year in using these tactics. But the biggest thing is, are you willing to put in the work? Are you willing to test? Because most people, what they'll do is they'll test one of these things once, it doesn't work, and they give up. Versus oftentimes we'll test hundreds of ad variations or hundreds of landing page versions, hundreds of different ways of positioning ourselves to ultimately find the answer. And what I tell everybody is, myself and my team, we're not the smartest people. We just out-test everybody, and we don't take something as a failure. We take it as a learning and a stepping stone to getting closer to identifying the winning formula for scale and growth of a business. So just a quick recap. Number one, focus on sales and revenue first. Don't try and build the Death Star until you've gotten the revenue in the door and you have that engine going. Number two, understanding the pros and cons between cold traffic and warm traffic. And I recommend testing both. And when I say testing, you don't have to spend a lot of money in either direction. And I don't want you to spend a lot of money in either direction until you get it to work. In addition, understand that in order for a successful conversion or transaction to happen, there are two sides of it. There's the ad or the organic piece of content, and then the landing page, the place that you send them to, and both have to be optimized. Both have to be at a high quality in order for your goal to work. And finally, have the right mindset. Understand that it's going to take testing to figure out the right answer. And even when you start scaling, even when you start having success, you will continuously test, you will continuously learn, and that is what will set you up for long-term success. And you'll see here we have 2 more scenarios, so stay tuned. And thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please click the subscribe button and turn on notifications and hit that like button. It's truly appreciated. And if you want to dive in deeper, click the link below and check out my book, Hook Point: How to Stand Out in a 3-Second World, where we elaborate on all the things that we've covered in this video today. And finally, I want to hear from you below in the comments. What is your business? What is the business that you dreamed of making, or the business you're currently in that you're looking to reach critical mass and scale with? So thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I look forward to connecting with you soon in the next video.